A billionaire dad thought money could fix everything until a kind waitress showed him how love really changes lives. It was a bright, sunny afternoon when Ethan Cole, one of the most successful businessmen in the country, found himself standing outside a small local cafe. The air was filled with the faint smell of coffee and baked bread, mixed with the laughter of children playing on the little playground beside the cafe. Ethan was a man used to controlling every detail of his life, from boardroom meetings to international investments, but today was different. Today his assistant had insisted he'd spend time with his daughter, Lily. Ethan had been hesitant at first. Business was always demanding, and even though he loved Lily dearly, he had convinced himself that time spent earning money was time well spent for her future. But after a polite insistence from his assistant and the thought of Lily spending her Saturday alone in the quiet house, he reluctantly agreed to take her out. Lily, a small, bright girl of 6, had been bouncing up and down with excitement all morning. She loved the idea of the playground, with its swings, slides, and little climbing frames. And she especially loved the idea of spending time with her dad. Her mother had passed away 2 years ago, and since then, Lily had grown accustomed to a life that was full of love, but short on attention from her father. Ethan had always promised that he would be there for her. Promises, no matter how heartfelt, were often lost in the shuffle of his work. Yet today, she held a small hope in her heart that maybe, just maybe, her dad would put his work aside and truly be with her, even if it was just for a little while. When they arrived at the cafe, Lily ran toward the playground without waiting for Ethan to follow. Her laughter rang out like a sweet melody, a sound that could have melted the coldest heart. Ethan, carrying his briefcase and still wearing his expensive suit, lingered behind her, checking his phone. An urgent email notification had popped up, and without thinking, he opened it. As he scrolled, Lily climbed onto the swing and started pumping her little legs, swinging back and forth with a giddy smile on her face. Ethan glanced at her occasionally, but his mind was already back in the office, planning meetings, reviewing contracts, thinking about profits and losses. He told himself that he was still there, that simply being present in the park, even while working, was enough. But Lily's eyes kept flicking toward him, silently pleading for more than just his shadow on the bench. The playground was filled with other children. Some were running in circles, others were building tiny castles in the sandpit, and a few were daring each other to climb higher than they had before. Their laughter and screams of joy were contagious, but Lily, despite her initial excitement, seemed a little shy among them. She watched the other children play together, their energy and fearlessness making her hesitate. She loved the idea of joining in, but without her father's encouragement, she felt unsure. Slowly, she made her way to a small swing, the one farthest from the other kids, and pushed off gently. It wasn't long before she began to enjoy herself, her laughter blending with the sounds of the playground. Then it happened. Lily, focused on swinging higher and higher, didn't notice a loose chain on the swing. She lost her balance and tumbled to the ground. The world seemed to freeze for a moment. Lily's small body hit the hard playground floor, and she let out a loud cry. Ethan, still looking at his phone, finally looked up. His heart skipped a beat when he saw his daughter on the ground, clutching her knee and tears streaming down her cheeks. Panic surged through him, but it was mixed with uncertainty. He had never been very confident when it came to handling accidents or emotional moments. His first instinct was to rush over, but something in him paused. He wasn't sure if he should pick her up immediately, check for injuries, or try to comfort her with words. He felt an unusual helplessness, a feeling he wasn't accustomed to. Ethan, a man who controlled boardrooms and fortunes, suddenly felt powerless in the face of his daughter's pain. Before he could move closer, a figure appeared beside Lily. It was a young waitress named Mia, who had been working at the cafe and noticed the incident from the patio. Without hesitation, she knelt down beside Lily and gently held her small shoulders. "It's okay, sweetie," she whispered softly. Her voice was calm and soothing, a stark contrast to the chaotic energy of the playground. She looked into Lily's tear-filled eyes and offered a comforting hug, pulling her close. The warmth of her embrace was immediate and transformative. Lily's cries softened, and her trembling body began to relax. For a moment, she felt safe again, as if nothing bad had happened. Ethan watched from a distance, unable to move, as someone else provided the comfort that he had failed to offer in that moment. Mia gently brushed the dirt from Lily's clothes and examined her scraped knee. She smiled reassuringly, saying, "You're okay. You're very brave." Lily's tears slowly stopped, replaced by a shy, tentative smile. She clung to Mia for a few more seconds, enjoying the comfort of a caring adult. Ethan's chest tightened as he observed this. He realized, perhaps for the first time in a long while, that comfort and care could not be substituted with money or status. He had built walls around himself, believing that providing for Lily's material needs was enough. But here, in the simple actions of a kind waitress, he saw a lesson he hadn't learned, that love, attention, and presence were what truly mattered to a child. When Mia helped Lily stand and walked her back to her father, Ethan finally approached them. His movements were stiff, almost mechanical, as if he were unsure of how to act. He thanked Mia, his voice low and awkward, revealing his discomfort with emotional situations. Mia simply smiled politely, her eyes kind. She just needed a little comfort, she said. Kids feel pain stronger when they feel alone. Ethan nodded, a lump forming in his throat. Her words struck him deeply. A quiet revelation that money could never replace what he had been neglecting. Being a father, as they sat down at a small table, Ethan tried to focus on Lily, but his mind was still clouded with conflicting emotions. He felt guilt for not noticing her earlier, admiration for Mia's kindness, and a growing awareness of the time he had lost. Lily, however, seemed to have forgiven him already. She smiled at him, the first genuine smile he had seen from her in months. Whenever Mia passed by with a tray of drinks or a friendly greeting, Lily's eyes lit up again. And Ethan realized something important. Connection could not be forced. It had to be nurtured, often by simple, caring actions that money could never buy. Ethan sat silently, watching his daughter interact with Mia and other children, feeling a mixture of relief and regret. He promised himself silently that he would change, that he would learn how to be present in Lily's life, how to comfort her, how to laugh and play with her without distractions. But for now, all he could do was observe, silently recognizing the lesson he had been given by someone unexpected, a waitress, a stranger, who had reminded him of what truly mattered. The sun began to dip lower in the sky, casting warm golden light over the playground. Children continued to play, their laughter filling the air. But Ethan's focus remained entirely on Lily, for the first time in a long while. He realized that life was not about boardrooms, meetings, or money. It was about moments like this, the small, fleeting moments of connection, comfort, and love that shaped a child's life and could change a father's heart forever. After the incident on the playground, Ethan felt a strange mixture of emotions. He had always thought of himself as a man in control, someone who could manage any situation with calm and precision. But now he realized he had no idea how to handle something as simple and human as comforting his own daughter. Lily, still a little shaky from her fall, clung to Mia as they walked back to the table where Ethan sat. The waitress's gentle hands and soft voice had done something remarkable. She had calmed Lily's fear and pain almost instantly. Ethan watched her carefully, observing the way she moved, the way she spoke, the way she made Lily feel safe. For the first time in a long time, he saw the power of kindness and attention, the kind of attention he had never given to his daughter. Mia knelt down beside Lily and asked softly, "Do you want to tell me what happened?" Lily's voice was quiet at first, barely above a whisper. I fell," she said, glancing at her father. Ethan's heart ached. She was looking at him, almost seeking reassurance from the one person she trusted most. And he had been too absorbed in his own world to notice her struggle. Mia smiled gently, encouraging Lily to continue. "I was swinging, and then I fell. It hurt a lot," she said, her small hands still trembling. Mia nodded understandingly, gently brushing a stray lock of hair from Lily's face. "I see, that must have been scary. But you were very brave to try again," she said. Lily's eyes brightened slightly, and for a moment she looked as if she believed in her own courage. Ethan felt a lump in his throat. He wanted to tell her himself that she was brave, but somehow his words felt stuck. Mia, a stranger, had managed to say it perfectly, and he realized how far he had been from saying such things to his own daughter over the past 2 years. As they returned to the table, Ethan put down his phone and his briefcase, finally giving Lily his full attention. But he felt awkward. How was he supposed to comfort her after all this time? How could he make her feel safe again? Mia, sensing his unease, gave him a small, encouraging smile. It was the kind of smile that said, "You can do this. You don't need to be perfect. Just be present." Her presence, calm and non-judgmental, somehow made Ethan feel less like a failed father and more like someone capable of learning how to be better. The little cafe was buzzing with life. People chatted over coffee, children laughed and ran around, and the warm smell of fresh pastries filled the air. Ethan, still observing Mia, realized that her kindness wasn't forced. It wasn't about being noticed or rewarded. She genuinely cared about Lily, and more broadly, about the children around her. She wasn't a millionaire or a CEO, but in that moment, she held a power far greater than money. The power to make someone feel safe, loved, and seen. Ethan's mind raced as he compared himself to her. He had always believed that providing material comfort and security was enough for Lily. He had built her a beautiful room, bought her the latest toys, and ensured she had everything money could buy. But all those things had failed to give her what she needed most: presence, attention, and affection. Mia had given Lily that in a matter of minutes. Ethan watched as Lily smiled shyly at Mia. The little girl's usual hesitancy was gone, replaced with trust and a sense of relief. She began to talk more openly, sharing small stories about her day at school and her favorite games. Mia listened carefully, nodding and laughing at the appropriate moments. Ethan realized that Mia wasn't just talking at Lily. She was connecting with her, engaging with her in a way that made the child feel understood and valued. Ethan felt both inspired and slightly embarrassed. He had never spent time this way with Lily, always thinking that gifts and experiences were enough. He realized that he had been missing the simplest, most important part of parenting: listening and being emotionally present. As they sat there, Mia continued to comfort Lily. She made playful faces, told little jokes, and even taught her a funny song about swings and playground adventures. Lily giggled for the first time since her fall, the sound ringing like music to Ethan's ears. For a moment, he forgot about emails, meetings, and business deals. All that mattered was this tiny human, laughing and smiling beside a stranger who had become a guardian angel in that instant. Ethan's heart ached with the realization of how much he had missed. How many moments had passed where Lily had wanted him to simply sit, listen, and laugh with her? How many tears had she shed without the comfort of her father? He vowed silently that he would never let her feel that way again. Mia noticed Ethan watching quietly and decided to speak to him directly. "She's a wonderful child," she said softly, making no attempt to flatter him, but simply stating what she observed. "It's clear she has so much love to give, and she just needs someone to see her, to hear her." Ethan swallowed hard. The words cut deep, more than any criticism or reprimand ever could. Mia wasn't judging him. She was simply reminding him of the responsibility he carried and the opportunities he had missed. He nodded, unsure of what to say, but grateful for her honesty. As they spent more time together, Lily became more confident. She climbed on the jungle gym, swung higher and higher, and even invited a few other children to join her in a game. Ethan observed, feeling a mixture of pride and guilt. He realized that confidence and security didn't come from wealth or protection alone. They came from feeling loved and supported, from knowing someone was there to catch you when you fell, literally and figuratively. Mia had provided that support in minutes, while he had spent years focusing on everything else. He made a mental note. He had to do better. He had to be the person Lily needed, not just the person who could provide for her materially. Eventually, Mia helped Lily settle back at the table with a small glass of juice and a cookie as a treat for being brave. Lily's eyes sparkled as she looked at her father, and Ethan finally felt the warmth of connection he had long forgotten. He reached out, gently holding her hand. "You were very brave, Lily," he said, his voice soft but sincere. She beamed at him, leaning into his side for a moment. It wasn't a grand gesture, but it was enough to start bridging the gap that had grown between them over the years. Ethan realized that sometimes the smallest actions, a hand to hold, a kind word, a shared laugh were more powerful than any luxury or gift he could ever provide. As the afternoon passed, Ethan began to notice little things about Mia's interactions with Lily. The way she lowered herself to the child's level when speaking, the way she celebrated every small achievement, and the gentle encouragement she offered without ever pushing too hard. Ethan felt a growing admiration for her, not only for her kindness, but for her ability to teach him something important without even trying. She showed him, in real time, how to care deeply and selflessly. For Ethan, who had always measured success in numbers and achievements, this lesson was invaluable. He realized that the true measure of success wasn't wealth or power, it was the ability to love, to nurture, and to be present for those who depended on you. By the time the sun began to dip lower in the sky, casting long shadows over the playground, Ethan felt a quiet transformation stirring within him. He looked at Lily, now smiling and talking freely with Mia, and felt hope for the first time in years. Perhaps he could change. Perhaps he could learn to be the father Lily needed. And perhaps with Mia's gentle example, he could finally understand that some lessons in life, the ones that truly mattered, came not from business meetings or financial decisions, but from small acts of care, compassion, and presence. The next day, Ethan found himself thinking about what had happened at the playground. The memory of Lily's fall, her frightened eyes, and Mia's gentle hands comforting her stayed in his mind. He realized that something fundamental had shifted. In him, a part of him, he had buried under years of work, meetings, and the relentless pursuit of wealth. For the first time, he understood that providing for Lily's material needs was not enough. She needed his attention, his presence, and his care. This realization made him feel both guilty and determined. He wanted to do better, to be better, and to make up for the time he had lost. He made a decision. Today, he would go back to the cafe, but this time he would leave his laptop behind. No emails, no calls, no distractions, just him and Lily. When they arrived, Mia was already there, moving quickly to serve customers with her usual smile and energy. Ethan watched her from a distance for a moment, admiring how naturally she connected with people. She seemed to radiate warmth, kindness, and patience. Qualities Ethan had forgotten existed in the world outside his boardrooms. Lily's face lit up when she saw Mia, and Ethan could feel the child's excitement. There was no hesitation today. She ran to the playground, calling out a cheerful "Hello, Mia," as she went. Mia knelt down and waved at Lily, her smile genuine and bright. "Good morning, Lily. Ready for some fun?" she asked. Lily nodded enthusiastically and began climbing on the jungle gym with Mia, watching closely, offering encouragement and gentle advice when needed. Ethan, standing nearby, felt a pang of envy and admiration. He realized that Mia had a natural gift for connecting with children. She knew how to listen, how to encourage, and how to make a child feel safe without ever overstepping boundaries. He had spent years trying to teach his daughter lessons about the world, about success, about how to handle life, but perhaps he had missed the most important lessons, those about love, trust, and emotional support. As the morning passed, Ethan began to participate more actively. At first, he was clumsy. He tried to show Lily how to climb safely, but his instructions were stiff and awkward. Mia noticed and gently suggested, "Just show her, Ethan. Sometimes actions speak louder than words." Ethan took her advice to heart. Instead of giving long, serious explanations, he demonstrated how to climb the jungle gym safely, holding Lily's hand and guiding her carefully. Lily laughed with delight as she tried again, and for the first time in a long while, Ethan felt a deep sense of joy. He realized that these small moments, climbing, laughing, holding hands, were far more important than any business deal or contract. During a short break, Mia sat with them at a small table, bringing juice for Lily and coffee for Ethan. She asked Lily about school, her friends, and her favorite games. Lily spoke freely, telling Mia about a little incident at school where she had helped a friend who had fallen. Ethan listened, surprised at how easily Lily opened up to Mia. He realized that Mia had created a safe space for his daughter, one where she could speak her mind, share her feelings, and feel understood. It was something he had failed to provide consistently. Mia didn't judge, she didn't rush her, and she didn't try to fix everything immediately. She simply listened, responded with warmth, and made Lily feel important. Ethan felt a mixture of awe and humility. Here was a woman, a stranger to him and his family just a day ago, showing him a new way to be a father. Her kindness wasn't just comforting for Lily, it was teaching him too. He began to reflect on the past 2 years, the countless hours he had spent at work, the missed bedtime stories, the ignored questions, the hurried goodbyes. Ethan realized that wealth, power, and status meant nothing if his daughter felt alone. Mia's presence had reminded him of something vital. Love and attention could not be substituted, and they were far more precious than money. After a while, Mia suggested they play a small game with Lily. It was simple, something any child could enjoy, but it involved teamwork, laughter, and imagination. Ethan hesitated at first, unsure if he could keep up with Lily's energy or make the game fun. Mia smiled and encouraged him again. Just have fun. Let her lead the way. Ethan took a deep breath and joined in. Lily's eyes sparkled with excitement as she guided her father and Mia through the rules. Ethan laughed genuinely, a sound he hadn't made in a long time, and felt a warmth spread through his chest. Lily's laughter echoed through the playground, blending with the sounds of the other children. But to Ethan it was the most beautiful music he had ever heard. During the game, Ethan began to see Mia's method in action. She allowed Lily to make decisions, to lead, and even to make small mistakes without scolding her. When Lily tripped slightly during the game, Mia didn't panic or lecture. She simply helped her up, smiled, and said, "You're learning. Every mistake teaches you something." Ethan realized that this approach was exactly what his daughter needed. He had spent so much time trying to correct control or instruct Lily that he had never simply allowed her to learn and grow at her own pace. Mia was showing him a gentler, more effective way, one that nurtured confidence, trust, and independence. As the afternoon went on, Ethan began to talk to Mia more directly. He asked simple questions about her life, her work, and why she seemed so naturally patient with children. Mia explained that she had grown up in a household where she often cared for her younger siblings and cousins. She had learned early on the importance of patience, empathy, and gentle guidance. Ethan listened intently, absorbing every word. He realized that her strength wasn't in wealth or status. It was in understanding, empathy, and the ability to connect with others. He felt a subtle admiration for her, mixed with gratitude for the impact she was having on his daughter and indirectly on him. At one point, Lily climbed onto Ethan's shoulders with Mia's encouragement. She giggled as she tried to reach for the clouds, and Ethan felt a rush of emotion. He had been so focused on his work, so caught up in controlling every aspect of life, that he had forgotten what it felt like to simply play and enjoy the moment. Mia's influence had gently coaxed him back into the present. For the first time in a long time, Ethan experienced the joy of being a father, not a provider, not a manager, not a boss, but simply a parent who loves, protects, and enjoys time with his child. By the time the day was ending, Ethan had noticed something remarkable. Lily's laughter was brighter, her steps lighter, and her energy more vibrant. She had felt seen, heard, and loved, not just by her father, but by someone who had entered their lives unexpectedly and reminded them both of what truly mattered. Ethan knew he had a lot to learn, but he also knew that the lesson Mia had shown him was invaluable. It wasn't about grand gestures or expensive gifts. It was about presence, care, patience, the courage to be vulnerable. As they left the cafe that evening, Ethan held Lily's hand tightly. He felt a quiet determination building inside him. He would not let this moment pass without change. He would show up for Lily every day, listen to her, play with her, and be present in ways that truly mattered. And though Mia had returned to her work, he knew her influence would remain with them, guiding him toward becoming the father he had always wanted to be but had never fully achieved. That night, as Lily drifted off to sleep, Ethan sat quietly in her room, reflecting on the day. He realized that love could not be bought or scheduled. It had to be felt, expressed, and shared, often in the simplest of ways. A hug, a kind word, a shared laugh. He understood that Mia had given him the roadmap to becoming the father Lily needed. And for the first time in years, Ethan felt hope. Hope that he could heal the gaps in his daughter's heart and in his own. Weeks turned into months, and Ethan Cole's life began to change in ways he had never imagined. The once busy billionaire, who had spent countless hours buried in boardrooms and emails, now found himself prioritizing the little moments with his daughter, Lily. The playground visits that had started as occasional trips were now a regular part of their weekends. Ethan left work behind, even if just for a few hours, to be fully present with Lily, and each time he noticed the subtle yet profound ways their bond grew stronger. He laughed more, listened more, and, most importantly, learned to let go of his need to control everything. Realizing that some of life's most important moments couldn't be scheduled or planned, Mia continued to be a gentle presence in their lives. Though her role remained unofficial, she didn't impose herself, but she was always there when needed, offering guidance and encouragement in small, meaningful ways. Sometimes she would sit with them on the playground bench, watching Lily play while Ethan observed quietly, learning from her example. Other times she would show Ethan little tricks to make Lily feel more confident, ways to encourage her without pressure, to teach her lessons without criticism, and to celebrate her small victories as if they were monumental achievements. Ethan was learning a new language, one he had forgotten, the language of patience, empathy, and love. One afternoon, as rain clouds gathered in the sky, Ethan took Lily to the cafe as usual. Lily ran to Mia with her usual enthusiasm, and Ethan followed more slowly, savoring the anticipation of the moment rather than rushing ahead. Mia smiled warmly at them, carrying a small tray of cookies and juice. "Lily, I brought something special for you today," she said cheerfully. Lily's eyes lit up, and she hugged Mia briefly before turning to show her dad the rainbow she had drawn on a napkin. Ethan watched with pride, noticing how Mia encouraged Lily to explain every detail of her drawing. "This is amazing, Lily. Tell me about the colors," Mia said. Lily eagerly explained how each color represented a feeling: red for excitement, blue for calm, yellow for happiness. Ethan felt a deep warmth in his chest. He realized that these moments, small as they seemed, were the ones that truly shaped a child's world. During their time at the cafe, Ethan began to participate more actively in Lily's play and storytelling. He told her silly jokes, helped her act out parts of her favorite stories, and even got a little messy with finger paints. Mia observed quietly, occasionally offering gentle advice, but mostly letting Ethan take the lead. She knew that the key was to let him learn by doing, and slowly he became more confident in his ability to connect with his daughter. He realized that parenting wasn't about knowing all the answers or being perfect. It was about being present, being engaged, and being willing to learn alongside the child. One memorable afternoon, Lily challenged Ethan to climb the jungle gym with her, a task he had previously avoided due to fear of embarrassment or awkwardness. Mia encouraged him gently. "Just try it, Ethan. It's not about being perfect. It's about being with her." With Lily guiding him and Mia cheering quietly from below, Ethan climbed the structure, feeling both nervous and exhilarated. When he reached the top, Lily squealed with delight, and Ethan laughed, a sound that surprised him with its genuine joy. The experience wasn't just about play. It was about connection, trust, and learning to embrace vulnerability. Ethan realized that these moments, though small, were shaping him into the father he had always wanted to be. As months passed, Ethan noticed subtle but profound changes in Lily as well. She became more confident, more expressive, and more willing to share her feelings. Where she had once been shy and hesitant, she now approached new experiences with curiosity and courage. She confided in her father about school, friends, and even the little fears she sometimes felt at night. Ethan listened carefully, offering support and encouragement rather than solutions or lectures. He had learned from Mia that children needed to be heard and understood, not simply guided. Each conversation strengthened their bond, and Ethan felt a sense of fulfillment he had never known. far beyond what any professional achievement could provide. One rainy afternoon, after a particularly energetic day of play and laughter, Lily drew a picture that would stay with Ethan forever. She handed it to him, beaming with pride. It depicted 3 figures holding hands under a rainbow. "That's us, Daddy. And Mia, too?" she exclaimed. Ethan felt a lump form in his throat as he studied the drawing. He realized just how much Mia had become part of their lives, not just a helper or a friend, but a guiding force who had helped him rediscover the joys and responsibilities of fatherhood. The little picture was more than a drawing. It was a symbol of their growing family, a reminder of the love, trust, and connection that had been nurtured over months of small, patient effort. Ethan's transformation didn't stop at the playground or the cafe. He began making time for Lily in other areas of life as well. He read bedtime stories every night, sometimes improvising silly voices or creating adventures on the spot. He helped her with school projects, not out of obligation, but out of genuine interest in her growth and happiness. Each day, he discovered something new about her, a favorite color, a quirky habit, a tiny fear he could help ease. And with each discovery, his heart softened further. The man who had once believed that wealth and status defined success now understood that true success was measured in moments like these, moments of connection, trust, and shared joy. Mia continued to guide him subtly. She never took over, but her advice, often given in casual conversation, became invaluable. "Sometimes you have to let them lead," she said one afternoon as Ethan struggled to help Lily climb a tricky part of the playground. "It teaches confidence, and it shows her you trust her." Ethan took her words to heart. He began to step back at times, allowing Lily to make choices, solve problems, and even face small setbacks. He watched as she grew stronger, more capable, and more resilient, and he realized that his role as a father wasn't to control her every step, but to support, encourage, and guide her with patience and love. The bond between the 3 of them, Ethan, Lily, and Mia, became unspoken but unbreakable. Mia's presence was never overbearing, but her influence was profound. She had taught Ethan how to see Lily, how to listen, how to encourage, and how to love fully without fear or hesitation. And as Ethan embraced these lessons, he discovered not only a new way to be a father, but also a new way to live, one that valued presence, empathy, and connection above all else. By the end of the year, Ethan's life had shifted dramatically. Business meetings and financial concerns still existed, of course, but they no longer dominated his world. The laughter of his daughter, the joy of shared adventures, and the quiet guidance of Mia had reshaped his priorities. He found himself genuinely excited for weekends, for playground visits, and for the small, everyday moments that had once seemed insignificant. Each day brought new lessons, new laughter, and new connections. And Ethan embraced them with an open heart. One particular afternoon, as Lily played with other children on the playground, Ethan noticed a change within himself. He no longer felt awkward or unsure when interacting with his daughter. He could laugh freely, play without fear of embarrassment, and offer comfort and guidance without hesitation. Mia watched from a distance, smiling knowingly, understanding that her role as teacher and guide had succeeded. Ethan had transformed, not just in his behavior, but in his heart. He had become the father Lily had always needed, patient, loving, present, and fully engaged in her life. And Lily, in turn, had blossomed. Her laughter was brighter, her confidence stronger, and her happiness evident in everything she did. She had found a father who truly saw her, who listened to her, who loved her, not just for who she was, but for the joy she brought into the world. And through it all, Mia remained the quiet, steady presence that had guided them to this point. A reminder that love, patience, and kindness can transform even the busiest, most distracted hearts. Months had passed since Ethan Cole had begun to change his ways. He had learned to prioritize Lily, to laugh with her, and to be fully present in her life. The bond between father and daughter had grown strong and unbreakable, nurtured by shared moments of play, laughter, and quiet conversation. And yet there was one thing Ethan hadn't realized: the depth of the impact Mia, the kind-hearted waitress, had had on their lives. She had become more than just a friend or mentor. To Lily, she had become a figure of trust and love, someone who brought warmth and guidance into her little world. To Ethan, Mia had become a teacher, a guide, and gradually, someone he admired deeply. It was a quiet Friday morning when Ethan decided to visit the cafe again. With Lily, he wanted to surprise Mia with a small token of appreciation, a bouquet of flowers, and a note thanking her for everything she had done for their family. When they arrived, however, the cafe was closed. A handwritten sign on the door read, "Temporarily closed due to family emergency." Ethan's heart sank. He pushed the door slightly, hoping it was only temporary, but there was no one inside. Concern began to build in his chest. Something didn't feel right. He quickly approached the cafe manager, a middle-aged man who had known Mia for years. "What happened? Is she okay?" Ethan asked, trying to remain calm, but feeling a knot of worry tighten in his stomach. The manager sighed. "It's her mother. She's been very ill, and the doctor said she needs surgery that costs more than Mia can afford. She had to close the cafe to take care of her." Ethan's chest tightened. He remembered Mia's gentle nature, her selflessness, and how she had always put others before herself. And now, someone who had given so much to others was in need herself. Without hesitation, Ethan decided he could not let her struggle alone. He knew the resources at his disposal could cover not only the medical expenses but also ensure Mia's mother received the best possible care. But he wanted to do it without making her feel embarrassed or indebted. Quietly, he arranged for the surgery and all related medical bills to be paid anonymously, coordinating with the hospital to ensure everything was ready. He also made arrangements for Mia's time off, ensuring she could care for her mother without financial stress or worry. It was a small act for someone like him, but for Mia, it would mean the world. A few weeks later, Mia returned to the cafe. She was visibly exhausted from caring for her mother, but carried herself with the same gentle warmth that Ethan remembered. As she opened the door, she was surprised to see Ethan and Lily waiting for her with a bouquet of flowers and a small card. Mia's eyes widened in disbelief. "Ethan, what is this?" she asked softly, her voice trembling. Ethan stepped forward, his gaze calm but filled with emotion. "You've done so much for Lily and me," he said. "You've taught me how to be a father, how to care, how to love. I wanted to make sure you and your mother were taken care of." Mia's eyes filled with tears, and for a moment she could only nod. Speechless at the gesture, Lily, standing beside Ethan, handed Mia a small drawing she had made, depicting the three of them, Lily, Ethan, and Mia, holding hands under a rainbow. "Thank you for helping us, Mia," she said simply, her voice full of innocence and gratitude. Mia knelt down to hug her tightly, and for the first time in weeks, Ethan saw her fully relaxed, smiling through her tears. The quiet moment was profound, filled with unspoken understanding, love, and connection. Ethan realized that this was the culmination of everything Mia had taught him: the importance of presence, empathy, and selfless care. In the following days, Mia's mother recovered from the surgery, and Mia returned to her regular life at the cafe. But the bond between the three of them had deepened into something that could not be broken by distance or circumstance. Ethan continued to spend time with Lily, bringing her to the cafe regularly, sometimes to play, sometimes just to sit and talk. And Mia, while still quietly observing from the background, remained an integral part of their lives. She was no longer just a mentor. She had become family. A living example of the love and patience that had transformed Ethan into the father Lily needed. One afternoon, Ethan watched as Lily skipped toward Mia, her laughter bright and unrestrained. Ethan's heart swelled. He realized that the girl he had once watched fall on the playground, frightened and alone, was now thriving, confident and full of joy. And he knew that Mia had played an essential role in this transformation. She had been the bridge between Ethan's past mistakes and the father he was becoming, showing him that parenting required not only love, but patience, humility, and the willingness to learn from others. Ethan also began to understand himself in ways he hadn't before. He had always defined success by numbers, deals, and status. But now he measured it differently by the quality of time spent with his daughter, the laughter shared, and the lessons learned from people like Mia. The richest moments were not those spent in boardrooms or at lavish events, but those spent on a playground swing, reading a bedtime story, or simply listening to Lily's small observations about the world. The transformation wasn't just about learning to be a better father. It was about becoming a better human being, more empathetic, more present, and more open to love. There was a quiet evening when Ethan reflected on everything that had happened. Sitting in Lily's room after tucking her into bed, he thought about how much had changed in just a few months. His life had shifted from being dominated by work to being filled with meaningful experiences and relationships. He understood that his wealth and influence could be powerful tools, but only if used with care and compassion. The love of a child, the trust of someone like Mia, and the joy of shared moments were far more valuable than any material possession. Over time, Ethan noticed small but significant changes in himself. He became less rigid, more patient, and more willing to embrace the unexpected. He laughed more freely, hugged more often, and spoke more openly about his feelings. His relationship with Lily continued to grow, each day strengthening the bond that had once seemed fragile. And through it all, Mia remained a constant. Gentle guide, someone whose influence had reshaped a father's heart and restored a child's happiness. Eventually, Ethan realized that Mia's role in their lives went beyond simple guidance. She had become part of their family. A reminder that love could come from unexpected places and that true generosity often went unnoticed. He began to think about how he could show his gratitude in ways that mattered, not through gifts or wealth, but through respect, care, and genuine connection. He spent time learning more about her life, her dreams, and her struggles. Always mindful of the fact that she had given so much without asking for anything in return. One evening, as the sun set over the city, Ethan, Lily, and Mia sat together on the cafe's patio. Lily played with a small toy while Ethan and Mia watched quietly. The moment was simple, yet profound, a picture of connection, love, and healing. Ethan felt a deep sense of peace. He had witnessed the transformative power of kindness and selflessness, and he had experienced firsthand how love and care could change lives. Mia's actions had not only helped his daughter, but had also reshaped him into a man capable of understanding and expressing genuine affection. Looking at Mia, Ethan realized something important. Life's most meaningful lessons often come from ordinary people who act with extraordinary kindness. Mia had entered their lives unexpectedly, and in doing so, she had healed wounds, taught lessons, strengthened bonds that had been fragile for far too long. Ethan understood that he would carry these lessons with him forever, and he felt grateful not just for the help she had given Lily, but for the chance to witness and learn from someone who truly embodied love in its purest form. From that day forward, their lives were filled with laughter, trust, and love. Ethan continued to prioritize his daughter, ensuring she never felt alone or unseen. Mia remained a close, cherished presence in their lives, a living example of selflessness and care. And Lily, once frightened and uncertain, now thrived in a world full of love and guidance. The experience had changed all of them. Leaving an indelible mark on their hearts and their lives, Ethan had finally learned the lesson he had been missing for so long. True success was not measured by wealth, status, or achievement, but by the love and care shared with those who mattered most. And in Mia, he had discovered not only a guide and mentor, but a reminder that sometimes the simplest acts of kindness can create the most profound transformations.